The 4 years that I served in the United States Marine Corps undoubtedly made me a better student, and I want to tell you why, because these are lessons learned and skills that I've obtained over the years that I think can help you be a better student as well. If you have any thoughts on what makes a good student or what makes you a good student, go ahead and share that wisdom with everyone in the comments below. That way we can all learn from each other. So in this video, I'll be covering 5 things that the Marine Corps has instilled within me, and be sure to watch the entire video because at the end of each point, I'll discuss how you can employ these things in your own life to become a better student as well. So without any further ado, let's get started right now. You could probably have guessed the first one here, but it is discipline. And the Marine Corps/military has a very unique way of essentially searing this into the very fabric of your being. So in the military, you are on countless occasions essentially forced to do things that you do not want to do, like digging a 5-foot deep foxhole wide enough for 2 grown men plus gear in the most solid, rock-hard terrain that your company leadership could find. Not salty. And in doing the things that you don't want to do, but come to understand still need to be done, you develop the skill of discipline. I emphasize skill because it is indeed a skill that you need to develop and practice over time to be good at, rather than something that you inherently have. And while this is generally a painstaking process, especially in the military, it's absolutely amazing because it literally translates to every other aspect of your life. So how can you develop this without having to join the Marine Corps? Well, start out by doing small things that you don't necessarily love that may or may not need to be done, because small things over the long term add up to big things. One of the best examples of this was given to us by Admiral William McRaven in his book Make Your Bed, and I actually have it here. I will go ahead and link that in the description below, but I highly recommend reading this book. And in this book, he discusses some incredible lessons that he learned while serving in the Navy SEALs, one of them being how little things such as making your bed can go on to change the world. The second point may be another obvious one, but it's so important, and that is structure. Your leadership in the military essentially dictates every aspect of your schedule: when you're awake, sleeping, eating, training, literally everything. And while you would likely prefer to fill your schedule on your own terms, this point just really stresses actually having a schedule. There's a saying in the Marine Corps that can be applied here, and that is aim small, miss small. And what that essentially means is that when you're trying to hit a target, you really need to scope in on a very precise point that you're trying to hit. You may not always hit that exact point, but by aiming small, your chances of hitting on or close to that point are far greater than if you were just lackadaisically aiming at a very wide target or no target at all. So what you can do here is to make a schedule for yourself, whether in a Word document or Excel doc, whatever your preference. Just write out a daily schedule for yourself that you can actually stick to, and it doesn't have to be down to every minute of every day. In fact, I actually wouldn't recommend taking it that far. Be sure to build in some flexibility just in case you start falling behind, and then of course build in some downtime for yourself. The third point is time management, and this blends in nicely to structure, so I won't belabor this point too much, but to provide another relevant quote: if you're early, you're on time, and if you're on time, you're late. And this is how the Marine Corps operates. Any place that you are required to be at a certain time, you are actually required to be there 15 minutes early, and if you're not 15 minutes early, you are then reprimanded for being late. And this is a good way to approach your life as a student and employee. It'll just make everything go so much more smoothly. You'll not only avoid being reprimanded for being late, but you'll earn trust and respect by showing that you can actually be where you need to be when you are expected to be there. So those were the first 3 points, and in the Marine Corps, those first 3 are really facilitated by this fourth one, which is accountability. And in the Marine Corps, we are constantly held accountable to everyone: our leadership, our peers, our subordinates. And generally, the military uses both reward and punishment to elicit desirable behaviors from its members, rewards being things like promotions, and punishments being things like demotions and verbal abuse. And perhaps with a little less extremism, you can employ these things in your own life. For example, you can hold yourself accountable by saying that you will allow yourself a certain leisure activity or purchase if you complete your to-do list for a given day. You could also ask a friend or family member to help keep you accountable with similar incentives, and these don't have to be monumental tasks, rewards, or punishments. Again, the little things add up to big things here. The fifth and final point that I wanted to discuss is perhaps one of the greatest gifts that the Marine Corps has ever given me, and that is perspective. While this last point undoubtedly applies to all of the military, military, I do feel that some of the harsher experiences associated with being in the infantry specifically, along with serving in combat, have given me a much deeper understanding and appreciation for the things that really matter in life. When you've faced real-world life and death experiences, it really shines a light on the little petty things that we tend to stress about on a daily basis that don't, or at least really shouldn't matter all that much. This particular point may be a little more difficult to employ personally unless you've truly experienced some transformative adversity in your own life, but it doesn't have to be life and death, really something that just effectively removes the blinders that allows you to see a wider worldview. From the student perspective, I've noticed that some of my younger cohorts hardcore stress about things like exams, and I don't necessarily want to dismiss that point because exam performance does matter, especially if you need to maintain a very high GPA to get into things like med school. However, in the grand scheme of things, your performance on a single test or even a single course does not communicate the quality of human being that you are, and overstressing about it is doing a disservice to yourself. To quote my biochem professor when addressing us recently before an exam, "It's just a test, it won't kill you, but stressing about it might." I thought that was a really powerful quote, and I hope others will take that to heart as well. So these were the 5 greatest things that the Marine Corps has instilled within me, and continuing to employ these things in my life after leaving the Marine Corps has led to a very successful career as a student, including a recent acceptance to medical school. If you're also a pre-med, go ahead and check out my pre-med journey playlist so you can learn more about how to get accepted as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.